Today I need to create a background for my documented life journal, and I wanted to challenge myself to use only those things I can find in my house to spread paint on the paper. So I've gathered a couple of things here. I've got a wine cork, which you can see I've used a couple of times. This looks like a credit card, but actually it's got a hole in it, so I'm thinking, yeah, Harris. This is from one of those slot machine credit cards that you get in Vegas. This is a comb, two-sided, a regular old drinking straw, a bamboo skewer like you would use on your grill, a plastic knife, water bottle cap, and this, I think, yep, this used to be one of those hair clips that broke, so I'm going to use that. And this is another one of those kinds of hair clips. It's really tiny, but it's got some nice texture here, so I'm going to try to use that. And then I'm also going to use this tube of paint in a surprising way. So let's get started. I'm going to be using deli paper today. This says centerfold waxed paper, but on the back of it, it says interfolded dry waxed paper. Interfolded meaning that it comes out like you would in a tissue box. And you can see it's got a fold, but that's okay. And it's not waxed paper like you get in the market. It's more what is used in your deli to wrap sandwiches and things. That's why they're calling it deli paper. You can see that it's pretty flat. There may be a touch of wax on here, but there's not very much. And as I've mentioned before, the cool part about this is that it goes transparent once you've put it in your page. So I'm going to be creating a background on this deli paper that I can then collage onto my journal page. Now before I paint, I use this gloves in a bottle lotion. It's just like a hand lotion. I got mine on Amazon. I'm sure there are lots of other products out there, Artist Protect and things like that. And the idea is that you put it on your hands before you start to dip your hands in paint and stuff. And then when you go to wash up, most of the things just come right off, ink and paint and everything. So just a little tip if you don't like to walk around having your hands stained with paint all the time. Okay, I've got here some craft paint, a light ivory, a yellow. This is a sort of a teal color. Make sure this guy's open. And I've also got a blue. I'm going to confine myself to just those colors. And you might notice that I've got these little tops on the craft bottles. I found these at the craft store. They were hanging in the same area where the craft paints are, and they're called something like top tips or tip tops, and they let you control the flow of paint when you just want a very little bit, so that's kind of cool. And I just put these old-fashioned kind of pins in the top to keep them from drying out a little bit. So let's get started. Okay, I'm just going to start with this blue. Never done this before, so I have no idea how it's going to work out, but that's okay. We're just going to play. I'm just going to put a small amount on the deli paper. When you're working with the deli paper, you can put a real small amount. The paint moves around very easily, and you do want this paint to dry relatively quickly. You don't want the deli paper to get too wet. So I'm just going to spread this with this credit card. And then I think I'm going to add some of this green. Oops, way too much. So let's see what happens if I use the comb. I think I need to move that around a little bit. Then while this is still wet, I'm going to see if I can pull up a little bit of this blue or the green by stamping with the cork. It's not pulling up very much, but that's okay. Now let's try this comb again. Not sure if you can see this little texture here, but there's some very cool lines working on here. Now I think I might want to do a little yellow. And let's see what happens if I spread this around. Spread it around first, I think, with the knife. And the knife's, you know, got really small serrated edge, so it's making a nice little groovy kind of thing in there too. And now let's see what happens if I can see if I stamp with this, if anything will happen. Nope. Too small. Oops. Okay, that's out of the picture. Let's do this one. Oh, that's kind of neat because it just pulls the paint right up. Sorry about that squeaking noise. I'll go more gently. Okay, and I think I need a little bit more yellow over here. Oops, that was white. I said yellow and I picked up white. Okay, that's the way it's going to be. Let's see what happens when I draw. Oh, neat. Making this look a little bit like gesso. And because the paint is still wet, it's picking up from underneath, some of the color underneath, but that's okay, like this. Wow, you could almost call this done. I need a little more white here, so I'm going to do this again through here and see what happens if I use this as a stamp. Ah, perfect. Wow, pretty nice. Okay, you know what I forgot was my black. Always have to have some black. So I lied to you. I am going to do one little color, add one more color black, and this is one case where I actually am going to stamp off here because I don't want a lump of black on here. Here's this kind of fun thing I'm going to do here. This is just a tube of Golden's open acrylic paint, and I'm going to use this, but I'm going to use this as a stamp. I learned this from Tina Wakely in a video I just watched. It's really, really cool. Going to dip the end of the tube right in the paint, and then I'm just going to sort of randomly stamp. Now, if I wanted to, I could add some water to this black paint, and I think I'm going to do that. Got some water here. Let me just add some water to the paint, and since I said I was only going to use these tools, I'm just going to see what happens if I try to do this with the straw. Not being very successful, but oh, try the knife. What I'm trying to do is get an inky consistency to the paint. And now, if I were to dip the straw in it, and just maybe a little bit more water. Okay, matter of fact, let's pick it up and see if we can't get some few drips going here. Not enough paint. Okay, voila. One quick and easy background, and I didn't use any external supplies, all things I found laying around my house. I might have to do another one.